Hope you are having a wonderful day. Jen St. Baptiste, and finally Amy's back, and you're
Hey.
gonna be in trouble. Hey la, Amy's back. So, we're going to talk about the show thus far and thoughts we have about where it might be going. Also, if anybody is interested in getting a very nice thing coming their way during the holidays, please drop any hashtags you have about the conversation of the video. This will apply to the people who are watching this afterwards as well. So if you can't drop it in the chat, you can drop it in the comments section. And drop your votes for the best hashtags in the comments section. Gift will be given away and it will be announced very soon. But we'll wait a little bit. So I want to say hi to everybody who's out there right now. We have Bobby Catalano, Julianne89. Good to see you again. I know you've had a lot going on. Johnny Crazy, Bear Island Josh, who is, as we've talked about, an old man like myself. And Brown Holly was here for a moment. Unfortunately, the one spanner who rules them all has a class to teach today, so she will not be here. If you see Brown Holler pop up in the chat, it is actually her children, because she was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, you guys can do that," but they're young adults. It's fine. And I was very concerned about watching my mouth, but she was like, "Ah, no, whatever." So, Amy, how have you been? We haven't seen you in a bit.
Busy and tired. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Very, very busy with work in the run up to Christmas now, and as much as I dislike mentioning the C word before Halloween, but yeah, that's the joys of working in retail.
You know, before we get into the show and everything, something that I do, and you have to remember, like, my line of work, I work in an industry where I get tips, so like I have cash every day. What I do to make Christmas so much easier is every day I work, I put a 20. I have a little bank that I made out of a whiskey tin, because, well, I buy a lot of whiskey. But just cut a slit in the tin, glue it shut, and I put $20 in there. And then about mid-November, I do all my Christmas shopping. And it's like, if it's $20, you don't really think about it.
Yeah, so I Christmas shop throughout the year, so it's like it's not loads in one go. And what the hell is what Johnny's just put in the chat? Time to unwind and talk about vaginal ingestion, Amy. Okay. Well, we know who Johnny's favourite character in the show is.
Yeah, Johnny's a Vilquist fan. He loves him some Vilquist.
And the famous Vagina Nebula, yes. Slit in the tin, Julianne.
Slit in the tin.
It will never be as good. Never be as good as Two in a Tin. That was the best one ever on
Yes.
on the Cylon Johns.
Which would have been Johnny's. So you weren't able to make it for the final episode of the season. I do want to know
Hmm.
any thoughts, feelings, anything you had about that.
I forgot how good it was, and I've said this about every episode, but it's kind of a little bit sad as well that they did that amazing finale, and then there was like nothing about it in season 2. Really, there's a very short scene, I think, in the first episode of season 2 where you can see on a screen in the background there's a newsreader talking about it, and that's it. Then there was no payoff in season 2 for that, and but in part that's because I think the main reason for that is that the actress who played Ostara, she jumped ship with Gillian Anderson and Brian Fuller. She didn't want to be involved without Brian Fuller being the showrunner. But yeah, it's such a shame because they could have done so much more with their character.
With her character, yes. I do have to say, though, watch the lighting in season 2. Watch
The
the
lighting.
background, the scenery.
Mm.
No flowers are growing.
Yeah, like it's that's what I mean. It's like it's just background stuff. They've not mentioned it.
Right.
Like you would
But
think it would be a big deal, and it's just not. Like the fact that it was the whole the climax of season 1, and then it's just
yeah,
it's not mentioned. It's just like it's really sad that they kind of they've missed a trick there, and I don't know if they'd be able to, but I think it would be really good if they could at least make some reference to it or bring that sort of bit of the story back for season 3. Although I don't think they will, because they're not going to be around that area in season 3, at
agreed.
least for most of it. So, excuse me, but I think we can't really discuss season 3 without some book spoilers. So there's your spoiler warning.
We do have 2 more people who joined us. Steve York and Peter Griffin. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
Make sure you have your hashtags handy. We're talking about a holiday gift. It could be Christmas. It could be Hanukkah. It could be solstice. So depending on what you'd like, you can be giving some power to Christ or Maccabees or Mitra, or quite a number of other deities. So
Drop a funny hashtag, win a prize.
Drop a hashtag. But she hasn't said she won't have anything to do with the show anymore. Like Gillian Anderson said, no, he's gone. I don't want to do anything with it. Her name isn't coming to mind. The woman who played Astor hasn't stated I won't have anything to do with it, but she did take that time off.
I wonder if they had to change what they were doing in season 2 actually because of that. I don't remember reading much about it beforehand. I'm just going to quickly see what her name was. American Gods Star.
How it's driving me nuts because I know her name. It's just not occurring to me.
Kristen Chenoweth.
Yes. But yeah, and also there's the fact that I think season 2 is a lot more personal than season 1.
Yeah, it focuses more on the individual characters than sort of the overarching storyline. I mean, it's actually one of the things that I found really odd. That it just hadn't really clicked when I'd watched season 1 the first time. Is that actually it doesn't take place over a very long period of time. Obviously, we get the flashbacks from when Shadow was in prison, but it's sort of the story. They don't do or go very far throughout the story.
Right.
Like, not a lot happens from a sort of how far they travel, because the whole the I think it is the last scene actually in the last episode of season 1 is all the cars leading up to the house on the rock. There's just like this big queue of traffic, implying that it's all the other gods arriving there, and you think that that's the whole point of what they've been doing throughout the whole of season 1. Like, that was their that's where they were heading, and they haven't got there. So you think, well, actually, there's not a huge amount of time's passed, and it's difficult with obviously seasons, because like we've got one where it snows, but it's like it's not cold, so it must be early spring.
Yeah,
because it's unusual that it snows, and then obviously we've got the solstice, which would be in March. So, or is it actually? It doesn't say that. It doesn't say it's the solstice. It says Easter, so it could be April, because that's
the
in April
equinox.
sometimes. But yeah, the spring equinox would be 22nd of March. So because there's been no mention of Christmas, it can only be sort of between January to March that this stuff's happened, and it gives the impression that it's perhaps only over a couple of weeks, maybe.
I'd go even further to say it's a couple of weeks at the most.
Mm.
You know, I mean, season 1, honestly, I mean, especially since you have like the Sweeney episode, which is 90% flashback or 80% flashback.
Mm. And then we've got 2 episodes that end with the same moment, which is Shadow and Laura at the hotel. They're sort of reuniting as such. Because
Right.
the first episode it's from Shadow's perspective, and then the next one it's all from Laura's, and that's when we get more flashback. Yeah, when you look at it like that, how sort of a big chunk of the episodes aren't actually taking place at that time. There's actually very little timeline-wise that happens. I
I would
think
say season 1 is more story driven, and season 2 is more character driven.
Yeah.
You know, which is essentially what you just said. We've got
Godly days after holidays. Sweeney Weenie.
Sweeney Weenie and Godly Days are also holidays.
Take the cat for
Take
its
the cat for
Boosters
its
Day.
Boosters Day.
Okay. Don't say that. She'll hear you.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll make her appearance. Especially because, in case nobody's noticed, I'm in my new home, and it's much smaller, so Shade has far less space to go do her own thing and has to come bother me.
How terrible for you. All the pets that I have in the room with me are double contained. So if there's a cameo from one of them, something's gone very, very wrong somewhere. They're not double contained for safety or anything, like, because we keep tarantulas, and it's just we have like we have 2 large vivariums. One is kept hot and dry, and the other one's kept hot and humid, just for the different environments that they need. So then the spiders are then in their own individual containers in the climate controlled larger one, if that makes sense. But yeah, when you say, oh yeah, all our spiders are like double tanked, people are like, oh my god, how dangerous are they?
Oh, I knew this question would come up. Okay, the bookshelves, Kenzie and Julianne. Because of the way my apartment is arranged, I had to put my desk in this certain spot, which is right behind my patio door. What is it? The sliding glass window for my patio, and which is also right next to the heaters. So there is no place to put bookshelves without like possibly setting my house on fire. So they're all here. In fact, if what's a good number? 15. If this video gets 15 likes once I'm completely unpacked, I'll give a tour of my apartment.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And you'll get to see all the bookshelves. And there are lots of them. And by the way, moving is an absolute bitch. I hate it. I hate it. And when I'm done hating it, I hate it some more.
Yeah, moving house is like horrendous. It's like the last time we moved here, where we live now, just coming up to 5 years. 5 years ago, and oh my god, moving house with 2 small children. What the hell? But the time prior to that, I was 34 weeks pregnant with Layla at the time, and I'm not sure which was worse because, like, obviously I couldn't lift anything because I was massively pregnant. But on the other hand, because I couldn't do anything, having to just let other people do it is really like, oh, you're doing it wrong. Not good. Yeah. So in short, moving house sucks.
Yeah. But the kids you could always crate. I mean, I know you aren't an advocate of that. I am. I think you just crate them, you know.
Now they're old enough now that if we need to distract them for any reason, technology works. Stick them in front of a screen, they're usually okay for a couple of hours. But and snacks. Snacks are a necessity. They must have access to snacks. But yeah, they were quite little then, so it was grandparents' fun. Ouch. Beryl and Josh just said the last time I moved, a refrigerator fell on me.
Oh,
okay.
Heaven have mercy. That's pretty awful. And then Steve York said in regards to your tarantula, he used to have a Chilli rose tarantula. He used to scare the shit out of people with his sheds. Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. Malts are fun.
Yeah, you just like set them around your house, or.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you know what you're looking at, you can tell because the abdomen gets all twisted and stuff with malts. But yeah, it's pretty funny because obviously they're complete with fangs and everything. But yeah, Chilli roses are. Everyone goes on about, oh yeah, they're lovely beginner species. They're really not. They all have attitude problems. And Johnny, we used to have emperor scorpions. We had one that had babies. They were lovely. You can't get them anymore either, unless you can find a breeder, because they've actually become endangered in the wild because of the pet trade, taking them from the wild all the time. So
snake molts are pretty fun to play pranks with people too.
Really?
Especially like in my youth, you know, we'd have parties at our house, and people would eventually pass out, and then you just take the snake's molt and like put it on somebody, so it's the first thing they see when they wake up. Because I had a red-tailed boa that was like 6 feet long.
Peter Griffin said he had one as well. Oh, Rocky Balboa. Oh my god. Okay.
Mine was named Cupcake.
I like that. That's cute.
I had a boa named Cupcake, and I had a cute, fluffy white cat named Obituary.
That's awesome. My tarantulas are named after Targaryen dragons. So I have Cyrax, Vermithor, and Vagar at the moment. And then Anya has Bob Dave, who is female, discovered when she last molted. But she's still called Bob for short. But Bob Dave is her full name. And then Ben, being the imaginative thing that he is, has Thing, as in from the Addams Family. And he had one called Phil. He had a jumping spider called Phil, who unfortunately died not that long ago. And then Legs is the other one. Originally, it was called Mr. Legs. And then Mr. Legs turned out to be Mrs. But I told him he couldn't call it Mrs. Legs. And he said, okay, Miss Legs. So, so we just call her Legs now. But yeah, we...
That works.
I like having themes for naming my animals. Like all my rats are Harry Potter names. So
I always name animals after monsters nowadays.
yeah, you need to get something really cute and fluffy and call it Cthulhu or something.
I do have a turtle named the Kraken.
Tiny little dwarf hamster called Cthulhu. That'd be amazing.
Oh, Shade would go nuts about that.
Well, yeah, okay, then you do run the risk of that.
That would be like, oh, food running, food running, food running, food running, food running. I'm going to hop up there. Not that I think she could hop up as high as I would put a
hamster's boring
terrarium, but she would try.
Oh, we're going to get mice again, though. That's what Layla wants because Anya had her tarantula for Christmas last year, and Layla's been consistently saying, "I'd really like a pet too," and she doesn't want a bug. So she's having mice because I kept mice before, and I know what I'm doing with them. So,
Cool.
but something small and fluffy that doesn't take up a lot of space and you can actually interact with. And hamsters are shit pets for kids. You know, they sleep all day, they bite, and they're stupid.
Yeah, I'm not a hamster fan myself.
No, I don't like them.
I mean, they're good to feed snakes with. That's what it is. But getting back to, nice segue. Rabbits.
Bunnies.
Yeah, so any other thoughts about the last episode of the season? Bunnies or Jesuses or
Jesuses, yeah.
Jesus?
Yeah. That's yeah, I'm pretty sure it is Jesus's. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Yeah. Did you spot that Mexican Jesus is actually there?
Yes.
In that scene as well. Like obviously we saw him die on the beach, but he's
I do wonder if it was 3 days later.
That's a very good question. It would be pretty funny if it was. We can pretend that's canon. That's officially canon now.
It's in my head canon, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Somebody needs to tweet Neil Gaiman and then ask him. Assuming he has Twitter, I mean he might not. I don't really use it very much, so yeah. This question needs to be answered.
I'm in his Twitter feed. I'll ask him if I can get an answer.
Ask him on Twitter.
I mean, he has like 1 million fucking followers, so
yeah.
If I don't get an answer, I'm not going to be upset. But yeah, I'm definitely terribly curious.
Yeah, inquiring minds need to know. we should do that. Like we start like hashtag is it canon and just hound Neil Gaiman with all our questions.
I think that's called harassment.
Well, yeah. In a nice way.
In
We're
a
not
nice
calling
way.
him names. Yeah. Like, I have no intention of stalking him or anything weird like that, so that would be really weird.
Yeah, that would definitely be odd. But
I don't fangirl like that over celebrities, so.
No, I actually met him, and it was really, yeah. I only spoke to him for like a moment or two, and I was like, okay, because like in my job, like I meet a lot of famous people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to bother people. Like Uh, my former boss, who's my godfather's or my goddaughter's dad, um, waited on Scott Ian and his family,
Cool.
which is like cool as shit. But you're like, yeah, I'm gonna let you be. You're trying to hang out with your family and do your thing, and I'm not gonna bother you.
Yeah, in my old job, we had celebrity clients, and literally there are two occasions where I have ever fangirled over a celebrity. First of all, was meeting Mads Mikkelsen last year because Mads Mikkelsen, and I couldn't speak. I had to go sit down afterwards because I was like, oh. And I had the shakes and everything. I was just like, oh my god! He shook my hand, and I didn't expect to actually touch him, and it really took me by surprise. I didn't quite know what to do with myself, but I have no shame with that. And bizarrely, Game of Thrones one, the guy who played Amory Lorch, I had no idea he was so nice looking in real life, and kind of had a bit of a moment. Was like, "Ooh, you're quite nice, aren't you?" And I didn't know what to do with myself. There was nobody else waiting to get a photo with him, nobody else waiting to get his autograph or anything. So I basically stood there and chatted with him, and I was just like, a proper like dumb blonde moment. I felt like a bit of a dickhead, but never mind. But then, yeah, I also got to meet Nicola Costa-Waldau this year at Cannes, and was completely there. I made him laugh, so that was fun.
Yeah, the only person I ever got remotely gushy over was when I waited on George Wendt, who was Norm from Cheers.
Yeah,
which is like one of my favorite shows of all time. And it was really cool. He's such a nice man. He I hate that word. I hate the word nice. But it's the only adjective I can think of. Just because it's so overused. He
yeah.
was so nice and polite. And I waited on him, and I didn't want to bug him for his autograph, but after he had his dinner, he was with a whole cast of a lot of people because they were doing 12 Angry Men as the play touring at the time. I I went up to him and I'm like, I hate bugging people about stuff like this. And he was like, no, it's no big deal. May I have it was after he settled out his check, and he asked for his check back, and he signed it, and he's like, now you have a copy of Norm's tab.
Oh,
And I still have it. I still have it in the check presenter.
oh, that's cool.
It's on my mini bar. Oh, Mackenzie asked favorite Cheers versus BSG. Oh, I still have to go Battlestar Galactica. I mean, but it depends on if I want to laugh or if I want to, think. Which, by the way, check out Silent John's on Friday nights. Let's get back to what we're actually supposed to be talking about.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts about the final episode of season 1?
They didn't do as much foreshadowing in season 1 as well. There are some things that you don't really realise until partway through season 2. And I don't think there's any other hints in season 1 about what might happen in season 3, though. Like we kind of have an idea of where it's going with the storyline for that. based on the last bit of the final episode in season 2, where we see Shadow with the driving license and the different name. But I think it's something you brought up before, actually, when Shadow and Wednesday first meet each other properly on the plane, and he says to him something like, "You're looking at me like I fucked your mom," and that's not paid off until season 2, because yeah, it's just stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's still not really confirmed as such in the show, but it's very strongly hinted at. And I think there's a few other things that he says in that particular conversation that he's kind of open about. He's basically telling Shadow, but Shadow doesn't realise what he's hearing as such. And he hints constantly about who he actually is, and it's really quite odd. I think that Shadow doesn't quite click earlier on of who Wednesday actually is, because you realise how many of the other gods actually call him by various other names for Odin, but you find it weird that he never kind of goes, "Why do you call him that?" or "What does that mean?" And I think he must have used the moniker Mr. Wednesday at some other point, because everybody just knows who that is when he's mentioned. But you get the way it comes across in the first episode of season 1 is that he makes that up on the spot, but clearly he doesn't.
Yeah, Tech Boy says the man you call Wednesday. So even the new gods. Let's just say this right here. If you've not read the book, if you've not read the show, we're going to spoil the fuck out of everything. So if you want to click off from this point on this episode of Believe, spoilers ahoy.
That's just what I was writing in the chat, but I spelled spoilers wrong. It's been one of those days.
Because I don't really think we can have this discussion without them. Yeah. It reminds me of a line from the book about in a conversation with Wednesday and Shadow, when Wednesday says, "Why do you just accept all of this?" And this is going to come up later. I imagine this will come up in season 3. And read the show, watch the book. Nice, Mackenzie. I like that a lot. I imagine this is going to come up in season 3. But when Wednesday says, "Why do you just accept all of this?" And Shadow's like, "Ever since Laura died, not ever since she was resurrected, ever since she died, I can just kind of accept everything."
Yeah. I think it's just he kind of just, he doesn't question it a huge amount. He very much just kind of rolls with it. Most people would be like, "What the ever loving fuck? How is like my wife suddenly resurrected and there's a corpse?" And yeah, it's
Well, no, but I'm saying from the point that she died was what the quote was.
Yeah.
It's like, ever since I found out my wife died with, excuse my language for anybody who it might bother, but my best friend's cock in her mouth. Hey, I can accept anything.
Yeah, because that was so shocking.
Nothing's going to shock me now.
Yeah.
By the way, great album. Nothing shocking.
Who's that by?
Jane's Addiction.
Not really a big fan of theirs, but Nothing wrong with the name drop. Oh, have we got the real Bronholler, or is it Spawn of Bronholler? Saying hi. That was a really unpleasant way of saying it, actually, wasn't it? Offspring.
I believe this is Bronholler Jr.,
Okay.
which is fine. Thank you for coming here. Yeah, I think your mom has to teach a class today, so.
What of the storyline's going to be. But other characters where they've quite diverged their book plot, it's going to be really, really weird. So at the end of season 2, we saw that Shadow had a driver's license with the name Mike Ainsel on it. If you've read the books, you'll know that that's like it's quite a lengthy chunk of the book where Shadow, under this alias, has a completely standalone story, essentially, that's kind of separate from the overall narrative, and it's just him. Like, it's not, the other gods aren't there. He's off. Is it Wisconsin? Somewhere else in Wisconsin, he is.
Lakeside.
Yeah.
Which doesn't exist technically, but.
Well, actually, no, it's a Wisconsin driving license that he has.
Right.
I don't know if Lakeside is actually supposed to be there.
Yeah. Lakeside doesn't technically exist, but I think I've probably figured out where it's supposed to be. That's part of the country that a lot of, and they go into it in the book. A lot of people have had a pretty financially stable, almost like a dream city.
Yeah. And so we had the it's not really an Easter egg because it's kind of glaringly obvious, the driving license. There was an Easter egg. Can't remember which episode it was. It might have been when they were trying to speak with the god of money, maybe. There is a scene of Wednesday in a restaurant, and in the background, you see a painting of a lake. And there's this tiny little red thing in the middle. And I remember spotting that and being, oh my God, it's that. And thinking, like, is that just an Easter egg for book readers? But the fact that they've dropped that in there as well, I'm pretty sure we're going to get the full Lakeside storyline. So I am looking forward to that, but I don't know. I can't see that they'll just do, like say half the season, like a standalone episode just with Shadow. I expect we'll have, the main bulk of an episode will be what Shadow's doing, but that we'll see other things going on with other characters. Because I think for non-book readers, I can imagine it getting a little bit boring for them, perhaps if they're not seeing everybody, sort of what else is going on at the same time. And then we've got Laura and Sweeney's storyline.
Is Sweeney dead?
For now.
Exactly. He's.
For now. There's no reason why Laura would have taken his body off. She's not taking him off to bury him, has she? And I do wonder if that's how they could bring Easter back. Because he took Laura to her because, she has sort of resurrection and magic as such. Obviously, spring is about rebirth, traditionally going back like pre-Christianity. So that's what her skill set is as such. It's what she represents. And she only says that she can't she can't help Laura because Laura was killed by God. Technically, would that apply if the killed person is a god themselves? I am wondering if it's either she's going to have to go to her, or the spell thing that she got from Baron Samedi, she will use that on Sweeney instead of herself. So she will just stay as basically a revenant with the coin, and the potion thing will that will work on Sweeney, so she can't use it on herself. Maybe that's my theory anyway. But because none of this happened in the books, we're kind of completely, there's nothing to go on for this at all. So there's so many possibilities. I think they could go. It would be a shame if they don't really explore that further. I think it would be a real shame if they don't bring him back.
Agreed. By the way, I have had some requests, and I'm thinking of doing some videos about the history of the actual deities that we see in American Gods. First one would be Mad Sweeney. I've had a few requests. If people are interested in that, I will definitely drop it.
I'm interested. I'll watch it, definitely.
Well, thank you.
Now, I remember when we had his sort of standalone episode in season 2, I ended up reading quite a lot about the sort of his story and what it's based on, and it was a really interesting one. I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, it was good. And I'm not up on Celtic mythology, so.
Sorry, come again?
I'm not really up on sort of Celtic mythology because it's just not something I've ever really read a huge amount about. So obviously I'm kind of going off what I've read on like Google, whereas these are stories that you grew up with. So it's familiar for you. So it's kind of, it'd be interesting to actually hear a take on it from someone who grew up hearing the stories.
Right. And from a literary perspective, a lot of people don't know this, but a big part of the story of Mad Sweeney ties in significantly to Arthurian legend.
I don't remember reading any of that. So there you go. You can blame Wikipedia for that one.
Change the names. Change the names. People do the same shit. That's what mythology and legendarium is all about.
Very true.
Quite often. Oh, by the way, Maura Lee asked a question about the final episode for season 1, and the young lady sitting across from the Virgin Mary at a storage party with a golden crown. She asked who it might have been. And the two big thoughts are either Isis or Persephone. I was wondering if you had any opinion on that.
I'd have to look at it again. I mean, in that scene, was there more than one other woman there, or was it just them two?
There were a number of Marys.
Yeah, that's what I automatically just kind of gone with that being another version of Mary. But yeah, I mean, that episode's Come to Jesus, isn't it? I just have a quick look at a picture of her. See if I. Did you say she's wearing a crown?
She's wearing a tiara, I would call it.
I've been
Now, it's certainly not any version of Mary that I have ever seen, and for for a number of reasons, have a bit of an indoctrination in that imagery. And Barrel and Joss, he read Le Mot d'Arthur years ago, and did not realize Mad Sweeney tied into all that indirectly. Stories get retold in different manners and sometimes with different people. So, yeah, I'll explain that. I will shoot that video soon. And speaking of shooting videos, I keep saying this: music content will come out. I'm sorry I've been so lax on that lately. Moving has kind of done that to me, but I have like so many ideas and concepts that I'm going to be putting out. I'm really, really, really stoked about. It's just finding the time and energy after moving shit all over the place. But yeah, I will definitely. I mean, if people are excited about that, I will do a video about Mad Sweeney, and if people are excited about that, I can cover some of the other deities that are in this series. Which, by the way, speaking of which, now that we're done with the series, somebody had asked, actually a number of people had asked, and we had discussed if maybe before we start on Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology, if we would maybe do a review and discussion about Dogma, which is not Neil Gaiman based, but it's a great fracking movie. Would everybody else like to see that? So leave any comments in the chat or in the comment section down below on that. Also, I have to do the shameless self-promoting thing that you're supposed to do on your channel, so please like, share, subscribe, all of that. Especially share if anybody you know is into literature or music. Please ask them to just come check this out, see if they like it. It helps the channel out, and it helps the channel grow, and our family gets bigger.
I have a possible answer to this question that Morley asked. Give me 2 seconds. And I might actually.
Mackenzie just said the stream has 16 likes. So that means, yes, we've gone over the 15 that as soon as I'm unpacked, I will give a tour of my house.
Cool.
Except for the domination chamber. That's brilliant. Now, anyone who actually follows this channel knows that there won't be anybody in the domination chamber. It's just there. It's for aesthetics. Oh, Al, okay. Red Sox fans, gotta go. Hey, have a great day, man. Thanks for popping in. Always good to see you. I'm sorry I never make any of your streams, but we need to do one together again soon because that was great fun. And I've got all my tech issues sorted out, so it can actually work properly.
Okay, so possibly it's I've got the picture. Hang on. I think possibly that she's actually supposed to be Mary Magdalene because of the red cloak.
Could you put that up to the screen for just a second?
Yeah.
And I will be right back.
So I'm just going to try and get this picture up so you can actually see it. So, I mean, if anyone else has any thoughts on it, this is sorry, I'm having to show you my phone screen, but this is the image of the lady in question. And apparently it's quite common for Mary Magdalene in artwork to be shown in a red cloak. So it is a possibility. Something that somebody's mentioned is a particular painting by Carlo Dolce, where there's a similar flower to what she has on her cloak or something, but I am not an art buff by any means. But yeah, it would appear that artwork of her, just from a quick Google search, is often show her in a red cloak. So there we go. That's who it is, and she's sat eating cake. Yeah, after just doing a quick little Google, just of various paintings of her, a lot of artists have painted her wearing red, with a flower on her cloak or in her hair. So yeah, so this is going to be another thing where we have to tweet Neil Gaiman with our hashtag is it canon.
Yeah, my one argument against that would be Mary Magdalene isn't really considered a springtime figure. She would be more autumnal. I think that's actually why.
But she would have been present.
So often painted with red.
I wonder if it's just the fact that she would be present during the Easter story as such. Obviously, it's about sort of the crucifixion and the resurrection, and she's around for that.
Right.
She features in that story. So on a basic level, this is without me going into sort of any sort of theology over it, because it's not my area of expertise. It makes sense on a sort of a basic level that she would be around for that particular time of the year, because she features in the Easter story. Again, like even the Bible stories, I don't know. Like I know a fair few sort of basically from school and that kind of thing.
Mary Magdalene was one of the few people who had the balls to actually go to Christ's tomb. None of his apostles did.
That's the only story I remember her being in is the Easter story. So it makes sense that she would be there.
I can see that. It's just a
as
crown.
a guest, in place of a halo. To differentiate it from the halos you see on the Jesuses.
Well, the halo, it depends, because if you're using like Orthodoxy, whether it be Eastern or Catholic Orthodox, she was never sainted. So generally, in the portrayal of saints have halos.
Yeah.
Other people, no matter how good or wonderful they are, don't. But yeah, I like the ambiguity. Just like I like the ambiguity. We were talking about this a few weeks ago about the nameless God.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation, isn't it? And it doesn't. I mean, something like this, it doesn't affect the story or the episode in any way. It's just one of those nice little ponderings that you can sort of pick up from the episode. I like that there's so much attention to detail, that these little background things. We literally get a 2-second glimpse of her. And
attention to detail with ambiguity.
Yes.
which I think is
Good.
awesome.
And gaming's very good at. So, yeah. But I definitely think we need to have some sort of Twitter. Is it canon?
Yeah, definitely.
Ask Neil Gaiman. That's but give me the hashtag.
Speaking of which, I guess I should talk about what this whole hashtag thing's all about. You think?
Yes.
Okay. In just a moment. As I said, I'm not completely unpacked, but there is something hanging back here. Now, this is not in the greatest of shape because it is 23 years old. But whoever wins the hashtag contest, which we will vote on next Wednesday, for their holiday present, whether it be solstice, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate during the winter solstice period of time. This is an original 1993 Sandman poster. And I'm going to give it to them. So, please bring your hashtags. And happy holidays.
So yeah, and people watching the video later can enter as well. So
Exactly.
hashtag in the comments as well if you're not here for the live chat.
Please. And vote if you like a hashtag from the comments or the chat. Please drop a vote. Say, hey, that was awesome. But yeah, I've had that since I was a sophomore in high school. So
I've just noticed in the chat, now that I'm not Googling things about Mary Magdalene, Peter Griffin's asked what year Dogma was. It was 1999 that came out.
Yeah, it's a great movie. For me personally, I think probably my favorite Kevin Smith movie, but I'm extremely biased. For a number of reasons.
No, I'd agree, actually. I think I don't recall, I didn't see it at the cinema when it came out, but I did see it when how old was I? 1999. I would have been in my early teens, like my very early teens then. And I remember seeing it around that time, and I enjoyed it then. And it's one of those films that I sort of enjoy more as an adult as well. That's definitely worth a rewatch. It's got to be on like Netflix or Prime or what's the other one for here in the UK, Now TV. I don't know what streaming services you guys have that you can get movies on.
Pretty much the same. Netflix, which I don't have. That's why all these shows that people are always telling me I need to watch, I never get a chance to. Prime, which I do have. Yeah, I'm not sure which service it's on, but it's.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really looked at the movie things on Prime. For Amazon Prime, for me, is for American Gods, and obviously Good Omens was on it. But Preacher, I think, was when that first came out, was what I one of the first things that I watched, and that's how I watched Battlestar Galactica as well, because all 4 seasons of that are on Prime. Yeah, so if any of you want to catch up on that, so you can join us on Fridays, it's all there on Prime.
Yes, and
yeah,
this is really interesting.
They're good with their box sets. I'm looking forward to this week's episode, actually, so I'll have to watch that one tomorrow.
Yeah. So, where do you think season 3 is going to go? I mean, you said you think it's going to be a little quieter.
Lakeside. Yeah, I think the Lakeside storyline, I can see them stretching that out over maybe half the season. So about 4 episodes, and then we'll have other things going on with other characters kind of mingled in with that. But what actually goes on with the other characters, I think, could be quite different from the book, because they're looking at doing 4 seasons of this. So I don't think they're going to go straight from the Lakeside stuff to the conclusion. So it's hard to say where else they're going to go with it. I'm trying to think in the books. I mean, it's quite a long part of the book, but it's not towards the end, is it? It's kind of in the middle somewhere, if I remember rightly. But it's been a while since I read the book, so do you remember kind of
I'm sorry,
whereabouts it
come
ran?
again.
Where the Lakeside storyline in the book, I don't recall it being near the end. It was like around the middle of the book somewhere.
Yeah, it's I would say like act 3.
Yeah. So there's still quite a big chunk of story to go on to for season 4. I think, and we're delving deep into book spoiler territory now, but I think it will be the second half of season 3 where we'll perhaps get the whole Odin, the Wednesday having to hold the vigil, and he's going to be kind of out of action for a couple of episodes. I can't see them keeping him dead as such for an entire season, because cameo cat.
No.
Yeah.
Did your cameo get now? Yeah, I think I think everything from the Vigil onward is going to be probably season 4.
Yeah. So I think maybe the second half of season 3 is where we're going to be kind of in the lead up to that. For non-book readers, I think it would be a really shocking thing if they suddenly think that Wednesday's dead and they don't know what happens next. I think that would be a really good episode to actually end the season on. But I'm not sure what else they could use to fill those other episodes if they're not doing the lead up to that.
With Skejik?
Maybe.
There had better damn well be some Skejik, or I'm just going to stop watching the show.
Possibly. I mean, again, that's another bit that's quite a lengthy but separate standalone type story from the book. They could do at least 1 or 2 episodes out of that, and hopefully with the Sweeney and Laura storyline, we'll maybe go back to New Orleans and see Brigitte and Baron Sandy again, because they were good characters. I think they didn't use them as much as they could have done. It would be nice to have some more of that, and that's all going to be like new non-book material, so it's something kind of new and exciting for the people that do read the books or have read the book. And it's I mean, they went down really well as characters. Like, they worked brilliantly, they fit into the story really well. The whole actual way they used the characters was done fantastically. So it would be interesting if they went back, because that was the first time we got the glimpse of no, hang on. It wasn't when we got the glimpse of it. That was where we had the payoff of the moment we saw when Sweeney took Laura through the Horde to travel. And do you remember, if we pausing the travel bit was where we saw them naked?
Yes.
And then it was paid off in that episode. Like, it'd be really interesting if they do something else similar where we get like a flash of something that pays off in like one of their weird hallucination spell things.
I really want to see, well, part of the whole Skejik story is when they're traveling there because Wednesday wants to meet with him,
Mm.
and the new gods have things set up, and they have to step into what Wednesday calls backstage.
Yeah.
I really want to see that.
Backstage was fantastic in the beginning of season 2 when we
The
got to
way it's
see.
written, yeah,
Yeah.
just the way it's written is the cat's tits, and I think the way they've put it up on the show is really good because you really do feel like you've stepped somewhere else.
Yeah. Pulled back the veil slightly. And yeah, I loved how they've done it in the show and how they sort of represented seeing their gods in like their true form. It looked awesome. It looked really, really awesome. And I think at the time, did we theorize that it was in Shadow's head as such? And another thing, in the last episode, when the police are coming to, it's the funeral parlor, isn't it? And Shadow's there, and he's having that weird flashback to him as a child with the toys
Right.
around the house, and his mum says like, "Don't let them find you," and he kind of does something with the toys, and then everything outside the house disappears. So when they go outside, like all the FBI have gone, and oh, excuse me, it's like Shadow has some weird flashback, trippy crossover thing where something that he's done as a child has had an effect now, or I'd love to explore that more for them to explain what it was supposed to be that happened, because it was a bit of a bizarre moment, but it looked cool and it worked.
Oh, the horde. I mean, that's behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that scene. I mean, especially given the mythology that I grew up on.
mm,
You know, I mean that whole concept. It like fairy hills. I mean, I grew up on that mythology, but you live much closer to those
yeah,
places.
yeah. I've never been to Ireland though.
Well, even in Britain, I mean, you know, you have the Standing Man. I mean, you have it. Yeah, Sweeney puts it best. It's you know, people and their gods just keep getting pushed off and pushed off and pushed off for the past 3,000 years,
Mm,
in just smaller spaces, and the gods get smaller, but they have their representations of Sweeney's rant about that. They took us, and then the Celts came, and then the Gauls came, and then the Romans came, and then the Christians came, and now Lucky Charms has just turned us into a fucking joke.
yeah, yeah. It's like each thing took a little bit away and a little bit away, and yeah, it's if they don't bring Sweeney back, we riot. I think it would be such a shame for them to not bring him back, because his show death was, I mean, it was fucking amazing. His book death is so sad, but what they did in the show was just fucking amazing. It really did the character justice as well. But the fact that they've had Laura take him off, I can't see that being the end of their story or his story.
Right. I mean,
I
I
didn't see
love
that as
his.
ambiguous. I did see that as she's going to get her man back type.
Yeah, I agree because I love his book Death. Um, for a number of reasons. I mean, every junkie's a setting sun. Like that. phrase right there, straight from another Neil. His book Death is just so like perfect. Oh, you're just like, oh my gosh.
Right in the feels.
Yeah, exactly. But in the show, his death is like just badass.
Yeah, completely
Like,
badass.
and that's so Mad Sweeney. Either or would be so Mad Sweeney, and also that you kind of like watching him go out with a fight, like just being like, oh hey, well guess what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be so sad if they don't bring him back. I'll be so annoyed. So bring back my favourite ginger.
I thought I was your favorite ginger.
Sorry.
I'm number 2.
Nah, Tormund's number 2.
I'm not even in your top 5, bro.
You're not ginger in my head though, because I've known you with dark hair for longer, and this is your Crowley.
This is my real hair color.
But yeah, real hair color. Mine's only.
I mean, if you want, we can do a stream about Black Number 1 because I'm as familiar with it as you are.
It's the best. John and Amy took goth hair products. Hooray! Because we don't waffle enough.
Right, exactly.
We need something we're going to really waffle about.
Another character that has diverged somewhat significantly from the book is Bilquis.
Yeah, that's another one, because her death has already been used. We saw like a nameless guy getting run over on the golf course by a limo. And that's how she dies. And I can't see them using that again. That would be really weird for them to have particularly put that in as a completely just like a little thing. It's not really part of the story. It's just like some nameless person gets run over. The fact that they've put that in there, that was like an Easter egg, I think, for book readers. So yeah, we don't know where Bilquis is heading either. We don't know if she's gonna, at the moment she's kind of gaining back a lot of her power. Excuse me.
But also, whose side is she on?
She's on her side.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the way you roll.
Yeah, but she's kind of playing both sides at the moment, isn't she? And I think she's also maybe trying to keep out of it. She's very much only got her own interests at heart, I'd say. And I mean, there are others that are like that, but they are kind of joining in with Wednesday, maybe kind of for the greater good, not just selfish reasons, but she's just purely selfish reasons why she's doing what she's doing. It's about what's in it for her. And I think if she did have to choose, I could see her siding with the new gods purely because she wouldn't have gained her power back without them kind of introducing her to dating apps. And I mean, we had that moment where she has the conversation with Nancy and Mr. Ibis, where they're sort of talking about their people being oppressed and how they should stick together. And there's a possibility we might get something like that. It was hinted at of perhaps some of the are the gods fracturing away into a third group where it's gods that have it's basically just they're people of color, and their culture and their where they come from has had a very different experience to the Norse gods and the Christian gods, and the way Nancy's speech was very much like they were separate and they should be on their side. You know, they should be a team together, and fuck the white people. You know, they leave them to their stupid little war. We're going to go do our own thing. That's how it came across.
Yeah, there's a lot more racial tension.
Yeah.
In the show than there is in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder where that's going. I know plenty of people who are going to say it's a bunch of SJW stuff, and I can see that, but I think there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a thing in the book at all. But I think the way they've done it in the show has been, I would say, sensitive to the issues without coming across like a sort of patronising social justice warrior kind of way. But it's not my place to judge that, if that makes sense. I think that's
absolutely.
very much it's kind of difficult to like stay in your lane and discuss this kind of thing because they're very real world issues, but for us it's not something that we can ever truly understand, if that makes sense. And I like that they've included it in the show because it does make you think, and it's kind of highlighting issues that are a real world thing.
Well, it's not just that they highlight other issues, like they talk about like class issues.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
talk
we
about,
kind of see that as well when we have like with Essie's story,
yeah,
how she's not believed because she's lower class, and yeah.
I mean, that's a real thing. A lot of Americans don't know that, like, deportation was a thing. It was a big thing. It was the way you kept your neck from hanging.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of I'm not sure what it's like over there in the UK, but a lot of Americans are like, oh, we have this myth that the country was founded by people who just came over here because they wanted their freedom and the fucking pilgrims and all this shit. And like, no, actually, most of the first settlers of America were either very rich and bought these plantations and owned them, or they were the African and Native American slaves and people from what's now the UK, especially Ireland,
Mm-hmm.
who that was your choice. Like, you steal somebody's goat, that you could get hanged for that.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of hanging for certain crimes, and I'm a big fan of making it public and all that. But that's a conversation for another time and place.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand that yeah, quite possibly that a number of their ancestors. I mean, that's how they came over to America now, and it they bring up. One of the things I like about the show is that the Gaiman and the other producers are addressing these things without making them what it's all about. You know, these things are being addressed. These issues are being addressed. It's being said like, "Hey, this happened," but
Mm.
it's not taking this and turning it into just discussing that. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Has your chat gone a bit weird? Sorry, I'm just okay. That's all right. I think the chat's cut out for a few people. I don't know if anybody else has lost it, but you might need to hop out and hop back in again. Because my chat just did completely stopped from like 20 minutes ago. Really strange.
I
But
have
yeah, it's still
all of the
moving.
chat.
I do now. I've had to sort of refresh it, and I don't know. I'm on YouTube from my tablet and have it on. It's like on my keyboard. Okay, and now John's disappeared altogether. I'm not sure what's happened there. I'm guessing he's going to rejoin the call. Oh, there we go. You just dropped out completely then as well.
No, I popped out because you had suggested it, but I don't think
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe obviously you've got like all the channel admin stuff, so it might be okay for you. I was wondering if it was might just be a thing. Yeah. So, oh well, never mind. So what are your theories for season 3 beyond what we've discussed? Is there anything else that you?
Okay, non-book theories,
Mm-hmm.
or like I said, where I think we'll go. Yeah, I agree with you entirely.
Mm-hmm.
And the warning's already been thrown up, but once again, super spoilers ahoy. Yeah, I think season 3 is going to end with the gunshot.
Mm-hmm.
I If I were a television producer, that's how I would do it.
Yeah, major cliffhanger.
I mean, granted, we talk another night of the week about the ultimate cliffhanger show,
Mm.
but yeah,
By the way, this is a 2-part episode, but you're only going to realise that 10 seconds before the episode ends.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's going to end that way. I think we're going to see Check. I really hope so. Oh, I have a question out there. Vinny, Brownholler's son, who's operating for Brownholler. How old am I? I'm 42. Yeah, I'm an old man.
It depends who you ask, though, because I'm sure if you ask Johnny, he'll add like a few, at least a 1 in front of that.
Yeah. Johnny thinks I'm a vampire. And by the way, Mackenzie made a comment earlier if I'm going to show off my coffin when I do the house
Oh,
tour,
you're going to do a house tour. Yeah.
since I have enough likes. I've always wanted to get a coffin. I really have, but
Just a
I've always wanted to get
decal?
a 6-sided pine box, like an old fashioned 6-sided pine box coffin to use as a coffee table.
That would be pretty awesome.
They are so ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
Like just that. I'm not talking about like the coffin that you see when you go to a like modern funeral. So Tavia Major's here. Hey, what's going on? Like a coffin you get in a modern funeral, those are expensive, like $5,000 or $6,000. But like just an old traditional 6-sided pine box, yeah, would cost like $4,000 or $5,000. which for
to
you,
3,500-ish £1,000.
it's like 3,200 pounds.
Yeah, not far off then. That would be a lot for a coffee table. You're gonna have to make friends with a carpenter or something.
Yeah, because I can't do that. I can't do any of that.
Ben's good at that kind of stuff. So, yeah, building shit and breaking shit. Those are his set shit on fire.
Griffin, really, Lestat de Lioncourt? Okay, please.
No. Lestat's first apprentice.
Armand, I could take. Like, I could maybe deal with that, but don't call me Lestat. I'm not that much of a pretentious dickhole.
To be fair, going by book canon, by the way, because Anne Rice's books are far more my head thing than the movies. Armand is ginger. But yeah, Marius was his mentor. Not his maker, but his mentor. Marius and Armand's stories are sort of my favourite books out of the Vampire Chronicles. So.
Oh, by far better. Lestat's a pretentious.
The Brat Prince.
Oh,
that's
there
who
are
he
actually
is.
children here, but Ron Holler said she doesn't mind. So if I can talk to her, yeah, Lestat's a pretentious cunt, and Louis is a ridiculous pussy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Marius and Armand are the only vampires who I would ever want to hang out with.
I don't know. There's some of the old ones as well are pretty cool, but
yeah, but they're fucking terrifying. Like, I wouldn't want to invite them over for dinner.
Yeah, they are pretty fucking scary actually. But yeah, they'd still be interesting. Yeah, it's oh god, I think
And is this Joanna or Appel? I think a new viewer. Hello, welcome.
Oh, I think Joanna, did you comment in the event page on Facebook earlier? I think I might have read that. Where you shared the link in one of the groups. There was a comment. But hi.
Drop your hashtags. You might win a prize.
Mm-hmm.
A holiday present. I'm not allowed to call it a prize.
Oh yes.
It's like a YouTube law.
Oh, Peter Griffith. See, I've only read the first couple of True Blood books. I don't really remember much from the TV series because it kind of started to get a bit pants. Godric vaguely rings a bell. I don't know. I think Anne Rice's novels are sort of the first vampire things that I kind of got into. So I like her mythology, I suppose, for sort of how vampirism works in her universe. And I find the True Blood vampires, I kind of didn't really enjoy their like origin and creation and exploding into big clouds of blood when they die and that kind of thing. It was a bit cheesy, I think. For me, not to say it's not good, because like the TV series was good and I did see it out to the end, but it did get a little bit weird. He was a Viking wounded on the battlefield. Oh, okay. Was Godric like the he kind of looked like quite young and he ended up like going out into the sun on top of a building or something at sunrise and sort of sacrificed himself. I vaguely remember this, but I only ever watched True Blood through once and never went back to it. But I think I remember what the scene that you're talking about now. Yeah, it's it's a series I might revisit at some point. I'd maybe consider reading the rest of the books. Let's have a look at my bookshelf because I think I've got I've got True Blood Omnibus. I think it's the first 3 novels, and that was it. And I never went any further with them. But Anne Rice is still writing the Vampire Chronicles even now, so that's like my go-to, and I've read that a lot. So
Now you knew my favorite vampire book,
go on.
the
Share
original.
the class, Dracula.
Oh no, Dracula's my second. My first would be Carmilla.
Okay.
If I shared it on the phone.
Have you read, what's it called? It's hidden behind a Funko Pop, so I can't see the title of the book. Dacre Stoker wrote like a follow-up to Bram Stoker's, and
No,
it's actually quite good.
yeah.
I can't remember how he's related to Bram, but he's an actual like genuine living relative of Bram Stoker, and wrote like a follow-up novel. It's been a long time since I've read it, but I do still have it.
I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's I remember it being quite good. It's just one of those random books that I think I found somewhere and went, "Ooh, Stoker, this looks good." I think I've got 2 books of Bram Stoker's short stories as well, which they're just not on a lot of people's radar, but they are very, very good.
Yeah, Bram Stoker was fucking brilliant. He was a brilliant writer. Even if you don't get into horror, if you don't get into gothic horror particularly, I don't care. Read Dracula just because the way it's written is absolutely fucking genius. Because it's all correspondence. If you've never read it, it's absolutely genius. Because the entire book is written as correspondence. It especially for its time, like nobody had ever done anything remotely like that. And the concept, and he's a good enough writer that each individual character has their own voice in that correspondence.
Their own style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you can do that without multiple personality syndrome. Like, I could never write like that. I can write first person. I can take and do, put myself in the thought pattern of somebody else and write as that I couldn't do that with like 30 fucking people. And yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
Julian 89 was here for a minute. I do have to say, if you like my thumbnails, they're all made by Julian 89. She's fucking brilliant. Absolutely genius.
Chief designer of lunchboxes.
Yes, she's the maker of lunchboxes. And if you're a fan of Carnival Row, Mackenzie L. Burns, who was here earlier, is talking about Carnival Row tonight. She's doing it on her episode club show. Only other announcement I have to make, and then we'll talk about this a bit more, is that Halloween night, it will be posted as a premiere. I will be reading The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, because that used to be a tradition of mine. So I would love if anybody shows up and checks that out, because it's one of the greatest pieces of literature of all time. Probably my favorite poem. It used to be like a huge thing that I did every Halloween. I'd get together with my friends and we'd we have some young children here, so I should probably not talk about what we would do.
Enjoy yourselves.
We'd enjoy ourselves.
And
read The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So I will be doing that this year on a Halloween night. Any other predictions about season 3, or any of the characters you're really curious about what's going to happen with? You think Jackal will be back?
I hope so.
He's so good.
He is so good, and they did hint. We saw the very large dog, didn't we? In one episode of season 2. It was obviously that was supposed to be him, just in a dog form. It would be a shame if they didn't bring him back, because the actor is fantastic. And as much as I think Mr. Ibis is great. He's fantastic, and he can hold his own wonderfully. But the chemistry that the characters have between each other, that like the actors do in season 1, is fucking fantastic. And it would be a waste if they didn't do that again.
Agreed. I think the actors in their chemistry. It works just like it does in the book.
It just seems to be so natural the way they do it. It's perfect. It's fantastic, and it would be a crying shame if they either didn't bring him back or if it was recast.
Right.
I think I can't see anyone else playing it that well.
Yeah, exactly. It's that chemistry. It's like we're both gods of death, but I'm the god of recording things, and you're the god of actually dealing with all of this. I had no disbelief to suspend in any scene with either Jackal or Ibis.
Yeah. Yeah, they have such a fantastic chemistry. I'd love to see more of that.
Now, speaking of great actors, how much of Nancy do you think we're going to see next season? Because in this part of the book, you don't see him much, but come on, man, you can't.
He's got to be there doing.
Can't
stuff.
waste it.
Yeah, it would be a real shame. Something I didn't know actually until I discovered it on YouTube fairly recently was that he did. They had like these little after show things where they were like interviewing some of the cast and crew that he co-presented with someone else. I can't for the life of me remember what the channel was now. But there are a few. I don't know if they did it for season 2, but for season 1 definitely. And yeah, he was co-presenting on this YouTube channel where they were kind of not really dissecting the episodes or anything, but it was kind of just like a chat with the cast. And they're sort of less than 10 minutes. They're not very lengthy videos, but they're pretty good. I'll have to I'll find the channel. Let's see if I can quickly find it. If YouTube on my phone will play ball with me, but here we are. Try cast interview. Entertainment Weekly. There we go. It was a little thing on Entertainment Weekly, and he was co-presenting it. And they would have these little discussions. There's one that actually had Neil Gaiman on as well. But yeah, it was breakdowns. It was with Mark Snetica. So yeah, Orlando Jones doing these videos on the Entertainment Weekly channel for all of season 1. There's quite a few on there, and they're interesting. You've got some. It's not just the cast. You've got the showrunners on there as well. There's one with Neil Gaiman himself answering questions as well, like sat there with all the cast. It's really good. It's actually really nice seeing all the cast interacting with each other as themselves as well. They all seem to have like a really great chemistry off screen with each other.
Oh yeah,
So,
like for any American Gods fans out there, or I'm sorry, for any Game of Thrones fans out there, uh, Tech Boy is apparently like just like Joffrey, like which means nothing like you see him on TV. Like the young man, I can't remember his name, who plays Tech Boy, is
Bruce
apparently like
something.
this very nice, friendly, wonderful young man.
Bruce Langley, I think it might be.
Yeah,
Something like that. But
and he's
yeah.
it's kind of like Joffrey from Game of Thrones, like nothing like that. My only worry is that the Tapper, since he's such a young actor, is that he would be typecast, into parts
Yeah,
like that.
maybe. He sounds so different as well. Um, yeah, very, very different to his on-screen persona. So yeah, I think that those interviews are really, really good. So they're worth checking out. Just as like a little bit of extra American God stuff you might not have seen. Um, and with Orlando Jones kind of co-presenting it as well, it's the stuff that he asks is really interesting. Because obviously he's heavily involved too with him actually being in the show. So yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yeah. So okay, we're on par with. Uh, we definitely want to see more of Nancy. We
Mm-hmm.
definitely want to see Wes Gedgick.
Yeah.
Do you have anything from the book that you really want to see in the show for next season?
Um, I think the stuff with Vigil and like you said, kind of ending it on the gunshot would be fucking amazing. Um, I'm not sure how Lakeside is going to go with kind of showing it on screen, if it will be as good as it is in the book, but I don't think I'm going to be disappointed by anything really that they include.
Yeah, it's a great thing when an author has as much influence as they do on this on the show.
Mm.
Yeah, it really it brings out a lot more of what you fan from the book. I mean, anytime you go from one media to another, you're gonna have changes.
Yeah,
But
these are author approved changes, though, aren't they? That's
exactly,
the thing, and some of it's probably stuff that he wanted to. It might be things that ended up being edited out because of the length of the book or anything. So it could have been things that he wanted to include that maybe his editors said, like, can we just chop this bit out? Can we make this bit shorter? It's given him the opportunity to put those things back in, um, which it's kind of like getting an unabridged version of the story, which is good. I love that sort of it's all kind of still from inside Neil's head. It's not just somebody else kind of making up their own version of his story, um, which is a bit of a we've seen recently how well that can work with Game of Thrones. It's I mean that suffered that started to suffer as soon as they ran out of the source material for it, and as soon as George wasn't really involved in the show anymore, and it it's it's shit when a good story gets ruined like that. So I love that it's all still Gaiman's ideas, and he's influencing not just the story, but how it actually looks on screen, and all this kind of thing is how it's supposed to be in his head. this is like being able to see it inside his head. And yeah, it's a shame not all book adaptations.
A lot of things become
strange.
A lot of things become a spectacle over substance.
Yeah.
But
none of the additions that they've made so far have been bad.
Yeah,
They've
exactly.
worked. They have fit in perfectly with the narrative. They haven't taken anything away from the story as a whole. They've made complete sense for the characters. They've been done in a way that it just totally works with how the character's personality and their storyline goes. It just works. It's great. It genuinely is a shame that other adaptations aren't done like this, because it makes it so much more enjoyable. You're not going to get in this. I mean, obviously with Game of Thrones, it's a lot bigger and has a massive following, but you do still get this sort of division between a book reader and a show watcher. And I don't get that at all from American Gods. I can't see any reason why a book reader would be unhappy with the show, despite the fact that there are changes to some of the character stories. They've all been good. I can't pick any holes in it, or there's no negatives to it at all, whereas with other certain things I definitely can. So,
do you have anything on your wish list for season 3?
Yeah, Sweeney needs to be resurrected. That's my wish list. Bring back the Ginge. Ginger resurrection.
Yeah. I think that might take a bit away from his character, but yeah, I want to see more Sweeney too.
Doesn't mean he can't die again.
I want to see more Kali.
Yeah.
I really want to see more. I don't know her name. The actress who plays her is fucking brilliant. And I don't think we've really touched on it a lot on these episodes that we do, but the woman who played Kali was just fucking brilliant. And
yeah, she's very funny as well,
scripting,
actually.
Yeah, she's funny as shit. And her scripting is absolutely genius. Like, she's like, do you realize that Indian people own 85% of the Motel Americas?
Mm-hmm.
And you see us as all the same. I mean, that is such a statement on human nature and on American mentalities and things like that. I want to see more Kali. I want to see more that Kali, and I want to see more terrifying, blue-painted, bloody-tongued, 8-armed Kali too.
Yeah, backstage.
Yeah, like the real Kali.
Yeah.
Because a very close friend of mine in my youth, like in my teenage years, introduced me to a lot of what I know now about the Hindu religion, and it Kali's a freaking badass.
She is.
So yeah, I think we've pretty much gone over everything. Do you have anything else you want to say about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Just season 3 needs to hurry up now.
Yeah, it's in production. Some people had asked about that. It's in production right now. It's getting filmed right now. I have a feeling, just given the way TV trends work and what works best for television shows, I'm thinking the release is probably going to be June or August.
Yeah, middle of next year. sounds about right for production time, and then getting it out sort of after. I mean, you usually get like your big series launch things around Easter time, so you've kind of got that time for them to finish those and wrap them up, and then have this like something new, and time for them to sort of advertise and build up the interest. So, yeah.
And also, it May releases never happen with anything. And I don't see that happening. And honestly, some people want to whinge and say the season should be longer, but I'll take quality over quantity any fracking day.
They are just right. I think if they tried to pad it out to make it into 10 episodes, we would not have as many good things to say about it. I think it would definitely, you would have to have filler, and it would be obvious that it was filler.
I absolutely agreed.
Oh, and Benny says he's reading one of the Harry Potter books at the moment, which is good. Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It is. It's a long one.
What house are you, Vinny?
Oh, there's a good question. So
I'm just curious to ask. I'm a Slytherin. I don't feel like I need to apologize. That's what we do.
You don't. Say I'm 50-50. I'm half Gryffindor and half Gryffindor. Half Gryffindor and half Ravenclaw. So Gryffindor. That's just my little house on my own. It would be purple, a mixture of the blue and the red. Yeah. And then I think my 9-year-old is a Ravenclaw. So, and she loves the books as well. And then I have a 7-year-old Hufflepuff.
Yeah, agreed. What interaction I've had with your kids, which is online and very short. Yeah, Ravenclaw and a Hufflepuff, definitely.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, Anya's the perfect badger, isn't she? You know, she looks all cute and fluffy, but she'll bite your face off.
Oh, Vinny says he's a Hufflepuff.
There we go. Badger pride.
I have no problem with any of this.
I don't.
I honestly, and this is something that I want you, Vinny, to look at like 10 years from now, reread the books. And I think that in general, they're kind of anti-Slytherin propaganda.
They are a little bit. There's definitely an anti-Slytherin bias. But never mind. Yes, so yeah, Layla's definitely a Ravenclaw. Permanently got a nose in a book.
We can be nice yet ambitious. In fact, I think that's a good way to be.
Yeah.
But yes, everybody, please put out your hashtags. If you're watching this afterwards, drop them in the comment section down below. Also, when you see the hashtags, please vote on them. I want everybody's votes if you have the time to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And the giveaway of where the God's name did I put it? This is how prepared I am. My house is such a mess right now. It's ridiculous. Should you see the poster? Okay. Well, my giveaway, original 1993 Sandman poster. Best hashtag. You're going to get it for your holiday present, whatever holiday you celebrate during the midwinter period. So I'm hoping to get some great ones. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. And in the meantime, Dogma. Have we agreed? Do we have an accord here? We'll be talking Dogma next Wednesday. Are you down for that?
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. So we'll be talking Dogma next Wednesday. And in the meantime, please believe.
Bye.